Hello, Rhea Kondamber here for my first impressions review of the Food for the Soul anime. So, I'll be talking about Food for the Soul, or Hibi wa Sugiredo Meshi Umashi. Short summary of the show: our main character is an awkward foodie who struggles to get herself to do what she wants due to a fear of change. But when she gets dragged into the food culture research club, her life develops more flavor. So, if this is your first time seeing a first impression of mine, for these I give my thoughts on an anime airing during the current season based on the first 3 episodes, as well as try to explain in what ways I would or wouldn't recommend giving it a try. There will be some spoilers concerning the characters, plot, and themes, etc. from these 3 episodes, and please keep in mind that first impressions are just that, early impressions based on what I think is a fair amount of time to judge a show. So I believe this is a solid cute girls do cute things hobby show that has some emphasis on food. This leans more on the living life side of the spectrum than the hobbyist side of things. The closest vibes I would give it are to Eurocamp, or laid back camp, with them both sharing the comfy, goofy club vibe and engaging in traveling and food related activities, but with a less detailed focus on the main activity. Just like the club in Universe, the food research that they claim to focus on is very light. But it should be noted that I don't think it's tricking you into thinking it's more food focused, just outside the title. The opening and the ending both show off moments not concerning food. It is actively going for the more holistic enjoyment of life that also includes food. And I think it executes on the good vibes very well, and its jokes are pretty solid so far too. And now I'm going to briefly talk about each of our core club members, as I really like focusing on characters, and for this one, I don't always do this, but for this one, I want to try really explaining each of the main characters in brief detail. We have a very nice group of 4 here, who generally fit into the expected character archetypes for cute girls do cute things. It is going to become 5, as you can tell from the opening, but for now it's just these 4. Where almost everyone has gotten a good amount of focus to show what makes them endearing and cute. The group's vibes and dynamics remind me a lot of Kesuku Band from Bocchi the Rock, except if you swap Shinoan with Yui from K-On! Our main character, Mako Kawaii, falls into the awkward and anxious character type, and is pretty great so far as a main character. She is not as exaggerated as other awkward introvert types, such as Hitori Goto from Bocchi the Rock, or Bocchi Hitori from Hitori Bocchi no Maru Maru Seikatsu. She has some struggles that other people wouldn't, but overall is fairly functional. Well, those two you could genuinely call dysfunctional. But you could say she has some screws loose that lead to some good jokes. Like how she has internal discussions using the mascot Mokotaro from her favorite YouTube food show. She's the true foodie of the group, showing real passion for food. It's cute seeing her get really excited and be the one who really pushes the club to do cooking stuff. With her being so change adverse, I was hoping this would lean a bit closer to Eurocamp, and that she has a more distant role like Rin in the beginning, because I really liked that aspect of Eurocamp, but it's not like it had to be that, and I still like how it played out instead. Overall, she is a solid main character so far. I hope we continue to delve into her anxiety and her aversion to change, as I'm a little afraid that at least her social anxiety point has kinda already sort of been solved. I hope she doesn't plateau early and end up falling flat as an engaging main character. And next, we have 2 flavors of goofy goobers who bring in the goofy energy and solid comedy. A smart goober and a dumb goober. I'll start with my favorite character of the 4 and the smart goober, Tsutsuji Higa. She has the big and floofy type of hairstyle that I really love. In her own words, she lives for ukulele and energy drinks, and loves sheep-based things. She's just along for the good vibes with the friends. Her name is very close to Hitsuji, which means sheep in Japanese, by the way. So I think she's really cute and funny. To compare her to someone else, she feels a bit like Ryo from Bocchi the Rock, but smarter and more pleasant to be around. And to be clear, this is a joking insult towards Ryo. To be clear, I do really like her as a character. She's goofy and very laid back like her, but I'd say she has more restraint. Her presence brings a lot of great comedy, just like Ryo, from both of the previously mentioned traits. I really love her, and I would put her high on the list of anime characters I'd want to be friends with. And for the second of our Goofy Goobers, we have the Genki girl Shino Nagawa. There's really not a lot going on in that head, honestly. She has boundless energy, an upbeat attitude, and is a total idiot. Yui Hirasawa is the clear comparison to me personality-wise. They may be like moe dumb, but their good vibes and ease at taking action helps keep their groups together and moving forward towards something. She's good so far as a character in this archetype, but I won't say I like her as much as like Higa or Kawaii as of now. She has her pun and her lack of wisdom jokes and pairs with Higa to bring disruption to the club as shenaniganizers and tomfools. She's a little confused, but she has the spirit. But we have the next character who will have her eye on them, just like Officer Earl. For our last member, we have the responsible and mature one of the group, Kureya Furutachi. She's gotten the least amount of focus so far, so I really can't say a lot on her personality. She reminds me a lot of Nijika from Bocchi the Rock. She holds a similar role of keeping the groupers in line, and the group focused on the task at hand. She has the strongest connections with food outside of Mako, and also shares having a food service job with her, so I hope we can delve more into their similarities and differences as we learn more about her. Hopefully she does not take too long to get more focus, as we already know we have a 5th member on the way eventually. I've seen series like these have the mature and competent character feel like the writers struggled to come up with like appealing and compelling things for them to do. I feel like out of all these like usual character archetype you see, they're the type of character that tends to be the least interesting, just because again, it's like writers often have trouble giving them things to do. Like with Train to the End of the World, for example, a show that I've covered and I really liked, their responsible member was the one who I also felt didn't quite get enough focus and appeal compared to the others. But I'm hoping that does not happen with Kureya. But together, I think these 4 have a really great balance. They have good banter. They're all pretty funny. And that's part of why I compare them to Gosuku Band. That is a compliment. But so to end off on the character-related discussions, in my Winter 2025 anime season roundup, I mentioned that I want the show to make the characters being in college rather than high school, which that's the usual standard setting that characters in these types of shows tend to have. I like when we can see more adult characters. I want that to actually feel different and be used substantially. I want that not just feel like a school just like any other, and have the characters who are older but still struggle and have the same personalities and stuff like that. So far, I don't think it's gone too far to do that, but I'm not going to harp on this point that much so early on. We could very well get a lot of college-specific shenanigans down the line. I wanted to mention it, but I'm not docking points over having that satisfied yet. I'm just, stating again that I would really like to see this. Because again, if you're a decently experienced anime fan, you know high school, that's the standard. And again, as you get older, you can still enjoy stuff talking about younger characters, but I still really like seeing things more like college-age characters and even adult characters. I've mentioned that a few times in various pieces that I've written or talked about. But yeah, basically what I'm just trying to say is it's not doing it all that much yet, but I have hope that it will. So hopefully we get some more college stuff. That's what I'm hoping for. And yeah, it's not a big deal just based on the first 3 episodes. Establishing all the more important concepts like the characters, the themes, plot points, etc. are far more important to do within the first 3 episodes. And so far, I think all of these have been established well, just outside of wish Korea had a bit more, but again, with 4 characters, I understand if it takes some time for all 4 of them to get a good amount of focus. And specifically on the core intention of the show. As a cute girls do cute things, slice of life, comfy type of show, I think it nails the fun and wholesome vibes. It's enjoyable to just watch these characters do whatever they're doing and appreciating each other's company and just enjoying doing stuff. That's the point. That's, I think, the main point of these types of shows is just to watch characters enjoy and go through and struggle with their life. And so far, it's being a cute show. My favorite scene so far is when they cook in episode 2 while Higa plays the ukulele that scene had that like extra bit of like wholesome magic to it that elevated it to like that's the best of what this genre can do. So I hope we get more standout scenes like that one, but I do have a bit more to say on the cooking that I will get to soon. To briefly touch on the events of the first few episodes, it was feeling pretty standard at the beginning, but the twist at the end of the first episode I think helped a lot to get me looking forward to the next one. Comparing it to a similar series like Eurocamp, I like that it started out in a rougher spot. The club is at its very foundation, and they did not have a collective vision for the club. So it was fun watching them stumble through becoming a club, then between episodes 2 and 3, giving us a taste of what we can expect from the show. So as like an introduction to the show, I think this is a solid set of 3 episodes. Now, moving on to the visuals, I think it's pretty middle of the road, as far as I can tell. Not spectacular, but the characters never feel like stiff or lifeless or anything like that. And they have a good amount of exaggerated expressions and movement. Backgrounds generally look nice and detailed, but they're generally pretty static, including like humans in the background. But for a show that wants to revel in the beauty of food, it's not quite doing enough when you compare it to its contemporaries. The show so far has not really shown the art and animation chops for cooking that other similar shows have. It's not bad looking, but if your goal is to focus on cooking and making food look really great, you really need to lean into that and put in that extra effort to make it look great. I don't think the show gives the viewer the desire to try to eat the food through the screen that series like Eurocamp can, or provide as much detail on the process, at least on the first 3 episodes. Again, I think Eurocamp does that better too. So one knock that I have to give the show is that Eurocamp, I think, does this food type of focus better, despite also focusing on a larger number of activities. But again, we'll see as the series progresses. It is still fun to watch the girls indulge in food when they do, but it does make you think that it could be executing on this niche better. But again, like I said earlier, the show clearly wants to do more than just cooking. So hopefully as we go on further, it'll show its chops at doing a more holistic thing like Eurocamp does. And I want to end off by talking about the show's ending. I absolutely adore this ED. It is ridiculously wholesome and just so cute. It really captures the feeling of the shows that just want to show off like the happiness found in enjoying your time with others, doing what you love. It is good vibes to the max. It just makes you feel super happy, especially when they go to karaoke. That's what I'm showing on the screen now. That's my absolute favorite part. Just from the way they walk to the activities they do, everyone shows off who they are as characters here and what they like to do. I think this is a clear contender for what could be my favorite ending of the year. I think it's really simple, but like perfect. And in conclusion, I think this show is very solid as a cute girls do cute things hobby show. The characters were all fun and likable so far. The focus on food is less substantial than I expected, but I still think it executed on the comfy good vibes very well so far. But I think a show like this may not be for everyone. This is very much a cute girls do cute things show first, foodie show second, in my opinion. As someone who loves the subgenre, I have no issue with that, and I'm having great time with the show for the most part. I don't really have any issue outside of just I wish the art and animation was a little better. But if your sole motivation for checking this one out is because it puts emphasis on food, I don't think it's going to end up being worth your time. If you don't specifically like cute girls do cute things and like comfy slice of life kind of stuff, I think you'll probably find this boring and not satisfied enough from like a food porn, in-depth gastronomy standpoint, all that type of stuff. So that I do think this is true, but I don't want it to make it sound like I am not recommending the show. I truly do think it's great. I almost passed over it this season, but I am really glad I didn't. If you're a cute girls do cute things or like comfy slice of life aficionado like me, definitely give the show a try. But if this type of show isn't your cup of tea, I don't think it's a good fit. I would recommend Eurocamp over it as a starter to like cute girls do cute things hobby shows, or just as a general recommendation if you haven't seen it. But this is still a solid one so far. And to briefly mention one more hobby show involving traveling, the season also has mono. I will not be doing a first impression of it, but I'll be planning to do a full review of it. And in my spring 2025 roundup, I'll have to give the verdict on whether I think Food for the Soul or mono is better. Because if you didn't know, mono is by the same author as Eurocamp, and all three of these are very much, I think they're very similar when it comes to the vibe and the intentions and stuff like that. So I think might as well, it's inevitable that I'll have to decide, I think, which one by the end of both of them really stood out the strongest. And with that, thank you very much for watching. I enjoyed doing these first impressions, and I've done quite a few of them, but I don't exactly have like a format or a checklist or anything like that. So I'm happy to hear if anyone wants to share their thoughts on what they enjoy hearing from these types of first impression reviews. Like if I should go more in depth on the main characters, like I did here, talk more about specific scenes, or try to limit spoilers even more than I did, too long, too short, stuff like that. Feel free to check with some of my other first impressions if you haven't before, and let me know if you think there are specific things I've done that you like, dislike, etc. And this is the last one I'll be doing for this season, but I've been doing them for a while now, and I plan to continue as long as I enjoy them. Feel free to go look back if you enjoy specifically like these first impressions, early thought type things. I've done a lot of them. Feel free to check them out. And yeah, please give me your thoughts. Can't promise to make changes or do exactly what you'd like, but love to hear what you all think, and I'll try my best going forward. So if you enjoyed, like, subscribe, blah, blah, blah. You can check out my website in the description, which has a write-up of this, and most of the videos I make are based on or have write-ups that go up at the same time. So if you would rather read than listen and watch, you always have that option. And I also do manga chapter reviews there as well.